When I arrived home, the entryway was deserted. My brass nameplate, El Rossi, had been ripped from the stone pillar. All that remained were two dark scars where the bolts used to be. My mother stood on the veranda, wearing a grin that didn't reach her eyes, while my sister, Alina, leaned against a flashy new silver SUV as if she had conquered the world. "You've returned ahead of schedule," my mother remarked. I ignored her and scanned the house. The drapes had been swapped. There was fresh paint on the walls, a shade I never would have picked. Alina smirked, tossing her car fobs in the air. "Hate to break it to you, smart guy. This isn't your residence anymore." I offered no verbal reply. I simply took in the surroundings with a calm gaze. They both burst into laughter, like they were sharing a punchline they had been holding back for years. My mother's lip curled. "We finalized the sale. We had to cover your sister's mounting debts. You stayed away for far too long." I gave a slow, deliberate nod. "And it never crossed your mind to consult me." Alina let out a sharp laugh. "Consult you? You're the one who preaches that family is the top priority. We just followed your lead." They were practically begging for an explosion. They wanted screams or sobbing. Instead, I let a tiny, quiet smile touch my lips. Alina's face twisted into a scowl. "What's the joke?" I shifted my eyes to the terrace. It was the same spot where I used to sit as a boy, waving goodbye to my father as he headed to the office. "It's nothing," I replied. "I'm just realizing how perfectly this has all circled back." She rolled her eyes in annoyance. "Perfectly. You're out on the street now." "Perhaps," I said. "But tell me, when exactly did this deal go through?" "Just last week," my mother announced with pride. "We got an incredible price, too, all cash. The man who bought it—" "I'm aware," I cut her off. "I'm the one who suggested him to you." Their smirks instantly evaporated. It had actually begun 6 months prior during our final family meal. Alina was weeping about her creditors again, bad choices, bad partners, and even worse investments. My mother painted her as a casualty of bad luck. I saw her as someone who refused to grow up. That was the moment I understood that love doesn't just blind people, it can make them go bad. I cleared her latest debt one last time, promising myself it was the end. But a month later, I spotted red flags in my property files, digital logs, and financial records. My mother's name was showing up in places she had no right to be. At first, I thought I was seeing ghosts. Then, I discovered a hidden letter from my attorney, one that had been intercepted, stating that a power of attorney had been granted to them using a signature I never wrote. That was the moment my heart turned to ice. I didn't start a fight. I stayed in the shadows and watched. Weeks bled into months of calculated stillness. I tracked their meetings, listened to their lies, and heard exactly how they plotted to remove me. They assumed I had grown weak. That is the danger of family. Once they believe you will always overlook their sins, they stop hiding the weapons they hold behind their backs. I moved with total secrecy. I shifted the actual property title to my private firm, which is registered under a completely different alias. My mother was holding papers that were fraudulent, but I ensured they appeared authentic. On paper, the house stayed in my name, but the legal description she was using, that was a decoy title. It was the old registration I had updated after the house was rebuilt. The actual deed, the valid one, was linked to a different property entirely, situated on the connected plot I had bought a year ago through a quiet development company. It had the same address details and the same street name, but the legal coordinates were different. I made sure their forgery pointed to that specific decal. They were under the impression they were selling my roof, but in reality, they were selling a ghost title to a patch of land my own company already possessed. When I went away on my trip, it wasn't for a break. It was to give them space to hang themselves. I allowed them to finish the fraud. I needed the paper trail, the evidence of the fake signatures, the illegal sale, and the tax crimes. When they insulted me today, I felt no rage. I was just waiting for them to trip over the wrong question. "You suggested the buyer," my mother whispered, her confidence starting to crack. "Yes." I pulled a packet of documents from my blazer, clearly marked with my firm's official seal. He is an agent for me working for my investment group. Elena gave a shaky laugh. You're lying. I passed the folder to her. See for yourself. She skimmed the pages and the color drained from her skin. This says the title was moved 2 years ago. Exactly, I concluded. The building you sold wasn't mine to sell, nor was it yours. The transaction you made, it's a felony. The person who bought it, a puppet. The cash you took, it's already under police surveillance. My mother's mouth began to shake. You wouldn't do this to us. I didn't do anything, I replied coldly. The justice system will. They stood there paralyzed. I moved closer, lowering my voice. You faked my handwriting, tried to steal my life's work, and laughed in my face. Did you honestly think I'd come back to ask for your pity? I pulled out my phone and hit play. Their own voices echoed around us from a recording made a week ago. He'll lose everything. Let him cry. Elena's eyes grew huge. You bugged us. Total silence followed, broken only by the breeze. I turned over the evidence this morning, I stated. Forgery, fraud, and theft. But this isn't about getting even. I'm doing this so that the next person you try to ruin will be protected from you. My mother sobbed. You can't put your own flesh and blood in a cell. I took one final look at the structure. You did that to yourselves. By sundown, the authorities arrived. I didn't stay to watch them being led away in cuffs. I didn't need that satisfaction. My actual home, the real one, was standing behind the neighboring gate. It was the same architecture, the same terrace, but it was mine and mine alone. I turned the key and walked inside, embracing the stillness. The smile was gone now. I didn't need it. There are some debts that cash can never settle. But justice. Justice settles everything with absolute accuracy.